They say Disney is the happiest place on Earth. But what about the parks that Disney abandoned? The ones they never want you to see? Behind the locked gates and decaying rides, something else waits. Not Mickey, not fairy tales, but shadows, screams, and the ghosts of those who entered and never left. Tonight, we'll explore the dark mysteries of Disney's forgotten parks, where magic turned into nightmares, and some rides still move long after death. When people think of Disney, they imagine laughter, fireworks, parades, and dreams come true. But even Disney has secrets, parks built with ambition, then sealed off, abandoned, and erased from maps. These parks were never demolished. They still exist, crumbling, overgrown, hidden from the public. But locals who dare to sneak in claim something horrifying. Those parks aren't empty. They're alive, and the rides still remember. The first tale begins with Discovery Island, once a tropical paradise attraction in Florida's Bay Lake. It closed in 1999 and has been abandoned ever since. Disney forbids anyone from going there, but that hasn't stopped urban explorers. One explorer, known online as Jay Kane, posted his story in 2009. He claimed he paddled a canoe across the lake at night to see the ruins. At first, it seemed like a normal abandoned park. Bird cages rusting, cracked walkways, the old aviary silent. But then, he heard it. Children laughing. Not from nearby hotels, from inside the island. He followed the sound to the remains of a bird enclosure. What he saw nearly drove him insane. Painted figures of Disney characters, Goofy, Donald, Mickey, stood in the ruins, but their paint had peeled away, revealing twisted, grinning faces beneath. Their eyes were hollow sockets, their mouths stretched unnaturally wide. And between them, in the shadows, dozens of pale children stood, staring at him, silent, still. When he turned to run, he claimed the children began to whisper in unison, "Stay, stay forever." Jay Kane never posted again. His account was deleted. Some believe he was silenced. Others think he never left the island. Locals say if you paddle near Bay Lake at night, you can still hear faint laughter drifting across the water. Disney's River Country was America's first water park, opened in 1976. But in 2001, something strange happened. It closed suddenly. Disney claimed it was seasonal, but the gates never reopened. By 2005, it was officially abandoned. The truth? River Country had a body count. Visitors reported strange sicknesses after swimming there. In 1980, one one-year-old boy died from a rare brain-eating amoeba after visiting the park. But rumors go deeper. Former employees whispered about drownings, accidents, and disappearances never reported to the press. One lifeguard told a friend that sometimes kids went under the water and never came back up. Urban explorers who sneaked into River Country years later reported something even stranger. The pools, long drained, were still wet. Not with water, but with a black, oily liquid that bubbled on its own. One explorer claimed he saw figures standing in the sludge, bloated. Waterlogged corpses of children staring at him. The most chilling account comes from a man who claimed he heard splashing behind him as he walked past the lazy river. When he turned, the pool was full of children, laughing, swimming. But their faces were wrong. Their skin was gray, their eyes black pits, and then they all turned toward him in unison. He dropped his camera and fled. His footage was recovered weeks later, the final frame showing dozens of waterlogged children crawling out of the pool. Few know about Mowgli's Palace, a Disney resort supposedly built in the late 1992s in North Carolina. It was abandoned before it even opened. Officially, Disney denies it ever existed. But stories from locals say otherwise. The palace was built around a Jungle Book theme, with massive animal statues, waterfalls, and rides. But construction stopped halfway through. Workers refused to continue. They claimed strange things happened on site. Tools vanishing, shadows moving, voices whispering from the jungle-themed halls. Explorers who broke into the palace years later described horrors beyond imagination. One found the main lobby filled with costumed mascots, but the costumes weren't empty. Inside were rotting human remains. One explorer swore he saw a Mickey suit standing in the corner, but when he pulled off the head, there was nothing inside, just darkness. The most infamous story comes from an explorer who found a hidden room beneath the palace. Inside were hundreds of photographs, children smiling with Disney characters. But when he looked closer, he saw all the children had the same expression: forced grins, lifeless eyes, and behind them, always standing in the background, a shadow, tall, faceless, watching. The explorer later claimed, in his final blog post, that he found writing on the walls of the room over and over, scratched deep into the plaster. "No one leaves." He vanished days later. His blog was deleted. Disney's abandoned parks are haunted not just by silence, but by movement. Locals tell of rides still operating on their own on Discovery Island. The bird animatronics supposedly twitch and move despite being rusted solid. At River Country, explorers claim they hear the splash of unseen swimmers. And in the ruins of Mowgli's palace, some swear they've seen the carousel turning slowly, though its gears are broken. But the most terrifying stories come from those who swear they rode. One anonymous post online described sneaking into River Country and sitting inside a cracked, rusting tube slide. He slid down into darkness, but instead of hitting the bottom, he fell and fell. He claimed he saw flashes of light, faces screaming, bodies floating, blood in the water. Then he woke up outside, coughing up black water. He never returned. Why were these parks abandoned? Why were they erased from Disney's history? Some say it's money, some say safety, but those who've looked deeper believe the parks were shut down because they became too dangerous. Not for physical reasons, but supernatural ones. Too many deaths, too many disappearances, too many reports of shadows, whispers, and figures moving where no one should be. Disney locked the gates, but they didn't destroy the parks. They couldn't, because whatever is inside doesn't want to leave, and it's still there, waiting. Disney may call itself the happiest place on Earth, but behind the fairy tales and fireworks, there are places they never want you to see. Places where the rides still creak in the dark, where laughter turns into screams, and where the magic rots into nightmares. And with that final scream, our story draws to a close. But the horror doesn't have to end here. If you are captivated by this tale, hit that subscribe button, give a like, and share your reactions in the comments. Spread the fear by sharing this story with friends who dare to listen.